This conference will now be recorded.
So, hi guys, good morning everyone. Good morning. So, still people are yet to come. I just see only around 40 members. Let's. Good morning, Sean. So, let's wait for a minute, guys. We'll start with that. Meantime, yeah, just to go back to yesterday's discussion and uh, try to try to memorize what are the different data types that you have. Okay, I'll just start in a minute. Okay, so let's start, guys. I think that's all. Okay, so what we are discussing is about the data types, right? So yesterday we covered the basic data types. Do you have any questions around that? Ping me in the chat box. And then today we are going to understand the basics of these data structures, and followed by these advanced data types. Okay, so let me. Okay, so I think we have started with that data structures. Yesterday we have seen list and tuple, guys, right? List and tuple. And what is the basic understand we have? A list is a mutable object. That's what where we can change that after you define it. In case of tuple, so you cannot change that. This is immutable, and you cannot change that. You cannot modify it once after you define the tuple, right? If you try to do that, you are going to get an error. You are going to get an error, right? So here now let's understand more about the other data structures. Okay, so what are the other data structures we have? Set, frozen set, dictionary. Okay, let's just define the basics of that. As so set and dictionary both are going to use the same brackets, yes, flower brackets, but by default, so this is also considered as a dictionary, and this is also considered as a dictionary. Both are dictionaries only. Both are dictionaries only. Both are dictionaries only. Until unless you add some elements to that, it doesn't identify whether it is a set or not. So in case of set, it's just a group of elements or set of elements separated by comma. Okay. In case of set, it's going to be a group of elements separated by comma. But in case of dictionary, it's a group of key value pairs, a set of key value pairs. So it will be like that. So where my name and my marks, student name and marks, or cricketer name and his score, and your name and your phone number. So it will be something like that. Okay. So it will be something like that. Key value pairs separated by colon. This is what separation colon. And what is my phone number? Some phone number. Okay, this is one. And okay, so one cut. Okay, Shavani. And here, so phone number is some phone number. Okay. So this is how it is going to store in case of dictionary. So this is a dictionary example, and this is a set example. Now if you print the type of S, it is going to print that as a set, and if you print a D, it is going to print that as a dictionary, right? Type of D is dictionary, right? So if you want, you can print the values and you can access it. Okay, so here if you wanted to access a specific element, of course, can you access like this? Like you have tried this, right? L of 1 equal to 20, you are assigned some value. Okay, in a similar way, let me assign not accessing, let me do the same thing. S of 1 is equal 100 I'm giving, right? So I'm trying to add one more element, right, in the first position. So when I say this one, it's going to it's going to be a index or position number. You take any programming language, the numbers are going to follow the array or group of elements. In general, they follow the index positions, guys. And in general, the index starts from 0. Why it is going to start from 0? Yeah, there is a reason for that also, guys. Okay, if anybody wants to know, let me know, I will help you out. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So this what the array index in general, right? Even if you look at these data structures, list, tuple, set, dictionary, right? So if you look at the list and the tuple, these are going to follow this index based model. Okay, so list and tuple are index based. As these two are index based, you can happily use this index positions to access your elements. What are my elements? So the element data can be whatever the data you have. That's fine. 10, 20, 30, 40. So these are my element. Actually, my list is going to have this. Okay, so assume that. So this is your list L. Now, if I wanted to access the first element, I'll say L of 1. So L of 1, what it is going to return me? What it will return now? L of 1 in the sense the position is 1, this position, and this is what L is pointing to this. So L of 1, if I try to access L of 1, what I'm going to get is 20. I'm going to get value 20. Understand? So that is how, like, using the index, this is what called index. This is what called index numbers 0, 1, 2, 3. These are the indexes. Using the index, we can access it, or we can update it. Or we can insert other elements. Okay, we can play with this data structure around more when we really starts with this data structures understanding. Guys, mute yourself. Someone, I can hear some noise. Okay, so then. So if you look at these data structures, set and dictionary, these are not the index based. So if you try to access them using these indexes in this way, you are going to get error. You are going to get error. See that? So here I'm trying to access. I'm trying to access here s of 1 equal to 100 or s of 1. You try to print s of 1. So obviously you are going to get an error. You are going to get an error. So where is the error? So here you can see that T1. Okay, so first let me comment that because tuple is also not supported because tuple is immutable object. So if you try to do something with tuple, it's going to stop there itself. Okay, now the code, the control never comes to here. That's the reason you didn't see that, because from here it will stop its execution. From there it stops its execution. So here now go back here and see that set object does not support item assignment. You cannot do this, boss. You cannot do this. You are trying to do s of 1 equal to 100, s of 1 equal to 100, and that is not possible. Okay, why? The reason is please mute yourself, guys. Putting off everyone. Don't unmute yourself. Don't unmute, guys. Please. It creates a lot of disturbance. Okay, so here I can say that this is not possible. Okay, this is not possible. This is not possible because set is not index based data structure. Is that point clear, guys? And then on what basis it organizes its elements? It organizes its elements based on the hash algorithm, hashing. So it is hash based. It is hash based. So what is the hash technique and how the elements are going to organize, how the elements are going to be accessed? So that we'll see again at the point of data structures discussion. So for now, what is the understanding here? So set is hash based. Of course, dictionary keys are also hash based. So in case of dictionary, the keys are important for us, not the values. So I mean, to organize the elements, to organize the data, the keys are the important here. Okay. So using keys, you can access the value in case of dictionary. Okay. So this will be a dictionary, and if I wanted to access a particular element d of, so I can give the key again. So what it does internally, it is going to calculate the hash code value of this, and it looks for the corresponding key in the given dictionary and gets the value associated to that particular key. Getting it? So d of Venkat. So this is what key, right? Now when I access that d of Venkat, it is going to get the value associated to it. So I'm going to get the number. I'm going to get the number. So that is what you can see here. Okay, the type of it is dictionary, and before that it was a set. Okay, dictionary and the number. The last print statement. This is what a number. Okay, so this returns. Okay, or prints value associated to the given key. Understand? You understand, guys? So set and dictionary both uses the same bracket, and here if there are only elements separated by comma, then it will be considered as set. If the elements are like a key value pairs combination, then that will be considered as a dictionary. Okay, that is how it differentiate between set and dictionary, right? So set and dictionary are hash based, not the index based. Okay, so here we understand what is indexing, the basic understanding again, because we are going to talk more about this. Okay, so these are hash based. These are hash based. These are hash based. So set and dictionary are hash based. set and dictionary are hash based, list and tuple are index based. Okay, so there are multiple properties we have to understand. So whether list allows duplicate elements, okay, list maintains the order, or is it going to do any sorting. So like that, we have multiple points to discuss this, and multiple functions around this to play with that. So everything we have to understand. That takes 2 to 3 sessions. Okay, we'll understand that. So then we have something called frozen set. So set, if you look at the set, I can modify set elements, guys. So I have functions support here, something like to add another element. So now I have added an element, 4 element to the given set. So now if I print my set, what is the output I see? 1 2 3 4, right? I'm just printing my set object here. Now I have added one more element, which is 4. Now my set should be having that element 4. Yes or no? It's been added or not? It's added. So that is the point here. You can modify the set. You can modify the set object. You can modify the set object. So go back to the data types, set. So what we have written here, so it is mutable. So mutable in the sense we can modify that. You can modify that. You can add elements, you can remove elements. Okay, you can play with that. But the frozen set is a set object where you cannot modify it. You cannot add any more elements. You can add any more elements. So how to create the frozen set case? First you should be having set. Once you are okay, you thought of freezing that set, then you can use a function called frozen set. Then you can use a function called frozen set where you pass your set object to that. So this is going to give you frozen set. Now fs is it got freezed, so you are not allowed to modify anymore. So you don't have any add function here. You don't have any add function here. If you try to do that, it gives error. So you cannot add any more elements to fs because fs is a frozen set, and you cannot do that. As we're doing for set, we cannot do that. So here I can add the element, but here I cannot add. Do you understand? The frozen set is something like freezed, and you cannot do any more updates to that. You cannot do deletions. Okay, you cannot do updations, additions, deletions. So you cannot play anymore with that. That's freeze set. Okay, whenever you wanted to okay, whenever you want to not allow any modifications to my data, then go with this frozen set. Okay, so frozen set is something like to make your set as immutable, we use this frozen set function. How to prepare a frozen set? To prepare frozen set, you should have set first. What set you wanted to freeze? Okay, you give that set as input to the function frozen set that returns your frozen set object, which is not going to be modified. So what is meant by hashing? Okay, so hashing is something like not index, guys. Maybe it takes time to explain, but I have a separate session for that. But for now, just imagine that something like okay, you have a textbook. Okay, you have a textbook where you have multiple chapters, right? Where you have multiple chapters. Okay, chapter 1, chapter 2, like this you have. Okay, you have n number of chapters. Say you have 20 chapters, right? Now, so I have asked you to go through the chapter number 5. Then what do you do? So you will go by page by verifying like whether I'm in chapter 1 or chapter 2. Okay, then I have to move to chapter 3, chapter 4, and finally I get chapter 5, right? So if you are going likewise, so it's something like you are going through page by page. You are going through page by page. That is one scenario. Now consider the another scenario where you have these 20 chapters, and before that I have added one page. Before that, starting, I have added one page, that is what table of contents. Imagine that. Now of course every textbook comes like this, right? Assume that you don't have the table of content in one scenario, you have table of contents in another scenario. Okay, when you have table of contents, we have a mapping, right? So chapter 01, okay, page number 5, chapter 02, chapter 2, okay, page number 15, chapter 3, so starts from page number maybe 25. Like that I'll be having, right? Chapter 5 also, right? Chapter 5 starts maybe page number 60. Okay, like that you will be having table of contents, right? Now if I wanted to open chapter number 5, I will just directly go to page number 60. I'll go to directly page number 60 instead of going through page by page. By moving page by page, directly I'll jump into what? Page number 60, because I know that in page number 60 I have this chapter 5. So what is your understanding in both the scenarios? In one scenario you have to go by page, in another scenario directly you are jumping into that specific page what you are looking for. So definitely there is a small time difference or not? There is a small time difference. So in case of these two things also, right? One is index based, other is hash based. So the index based data structures are going to look for like index based on the index. So like it goes 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. But in case of hash, so it's going to calculate the hash value for the given element and it directly jumps into the respective element where it is going to save some time. So this is best fit for if your frequent operation, frequent requirement is a search operation, so better to use set object. Your frequent operation is like you don't want to allow duplicates, you don't want to you don't want to um, take more time for searching some elements than go with hash. So how to calculate hash? Okay, what is actually hash? How this hashing works? Okay, hashing technique works. I will explain you at the time of discussing this in detail. Okay, just hold on until the moment. Meantime, so that's a simple example what I gave to understand. So the best fit is, set is best fit because of set is best fit for search operation because of the hashing, because it follows hashing. Okay. Okay, all right, so you understand this basic data types, what you understand the basics. So here one second. Okay guys, so right, so list is going to be represent, so list tuples at all are like going to maintain the group of elements only, right? All the data structures. So list is a mutable object, tuple is immutable object, everything else is same between list and tuple. And set is a little bit different between list and tuple. List tuples are index based, set is hash based. And when you come to frozen set, this is immutable, set is mutable. When you come to dictionary, dictionary is going to maintain the values as a key value pairs. That's the basic differences of these data structures, and all are useful to maintain to organize the data group of elements, right? That's the basic understanding about the data types. Now we have something called advanced data types. Okay, we have range function, byte, byte array, none type. Okay, let's understand a bit more about this. Okay, I'll take this into a new file because the file is now we have multiple more lines of code. I'm taking to some say advanced data types or something like that. I'm giving some name. These are the advanced data types that we're going to talk about. So range. So the name itself saying, right? Range means what? Range means what? So it just follows like from here to there. Range in the sense in between two points, right? So it is going to consider that as a range. So maybe starting from here, it's what is its range? So its range is up to here. So this is what my range, starting from here to here. So I'm starting from 10, I'm going up to 100. So 100 is my range. So between two values, right? So the range, the name itself saying that range is going to describe, okay, or it organizes the numbers in between two values. It's going to organize the numbers in between two values. That's what a simple thing. Okay, we'll understand that. Ratnaja. So means in hash, does it store the address of keys? Not exactly. Not exactly the address of the keys. It's going to calculate the hash value. The hash value is going to be unique for each and every object, and it follows some hashing technique to organize, to store where it has to store basically. That's what. Don't worry. Hold on. Maybe 3 to 4 sessions. Okay. Next week I'll explain. Okay. Monday or Tuesday I'll come back to these data structures and we'll discuss maybe from Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll talk about that. Okay. Yeah, come back to the range function. So range function is going to consider the values in between 2 points. 2 points. So 10 to 100. It's going to consider all the values in between these two values, 10 and 100, 10, 11, 12, 13. It goes up to 100. Okay, so that's what the range function friends, and this helps a lot in our programming. Okay, so how to use this range function? So we have a given function, range function, like this. So range is a name, and this, if you keep this bracket, meaning that it is a function. It is a function. So range function, I have a range function. Range function expects certain parameters, guys. Okay, so again, when I say a function, it takes some inputs. Okay, it can take one input or multiple input. See here, I have x value 10, y value 20. So now my print function takes two parameters, right? X comma y. So like that, I can pass n number of parameters to the print function, because print function takes any number of inputs. Understand? In a similar way, range is also one function, given function, where it expects different parameters. So what are the parameters it is going to expect? The range function syntax, if we look at the range function syntax, so we need to give some start position, guys, meaning that in between 2 points, right? In between 2 points, I'm saying. So what is the starting point and what is the end point? The range in between this start and end position. And we have one more parameter. We have to give one more parameter. Okay, we have to give one more parameter. So that is what? Okay, that is what step value. We call it as a step value, meaning that when you are moving from starting point to end point, so from 10 to 20 I'm moving. Okay, 10 to 20 I'm moving. So I'm going to consider all these values by default. From starting with the 10, it goes up to 20. How I'm going to consider the values? 10, then 11, 12, 13. Likewise, I'm going to consider. Now, what is the difference between these numbers, guys? What is the difference between these numbers? The difference is 1, right? The difference is 1. So this is what the step value. This is nothing but step value. This is nothing but step value. So the step value, you can give any value. So I can give, if I want, I can give 2 also. Then how the elements it is going to consider is 10, then 11 is going to ignore, 12 is going to consider, and 13 is going to ignore, then 14 is going to consider, 16, 18. So it consider like that. Do you understand? So that is what called step value. So this can be any number. You can give plus, or you can give -2, or you can give -1. So we can give either positive values, or you can give negative values. If you give negative values, it is going to decrease its value. Okay, So that takes any value. We can give any step value, start position, end position, and step value. So these are the parameters that you have to pass to your range function. So as it is a function, so should be comma separated, guys. So let me say I'm starting from 1. Okay, I'm starting from 1. I'm taking up to 10. My range of 1 comma 10, and default step value is 1. Now what are the data, like what are the data elements I see here? Starting from 1, as the step value is 1, so 1 plus 1 2, 2 plus 1 3, 3 plus 1 4, 5 6 7 8 9. It comes like that, right? So now here one more important point to understand, guys. So let me print this range. If I print this range, it is not going to print the actual elements. Then what it will print? So it is going to print, okay, so it is going to just to say that range, it tells you about the range of 1 comma 10. Okay, range of 10 comma 1 comma 10. But I want the elements in between these range, then what to do? How to get my elements? Okay, so in Python, okay, in Python we have different functions, guys, where we can change one type into another type. That is what called typecasting, which we are going to talk just immediate to finishing this discussion. Typecasting, we say it is a typecasting. So converting one particular type into another type. So range is one type, data type. Byte is another data type. Byte array is another data type, right? So converting, if you have a byte values, you can convert them into byte array, or you have byte array, you can convert them into byte. Basically casting, you have integer number, you wanted to convert it into floating, or you have float and you wanted to convert them into what? Integer, something like. So if you wanted to convert one data set into another, then we use typecasting. Okay, so here also this is going to range function is going to return a range itself, but I actually wanted to iterate through each element of my range function, and I wanted to extract them. I want to extract the elements. So how do I do it? Is I can send this range function. I can send this range function. Okay, I'm assigning this to a variable, and now I can pass this to a list. Okay, so the list function, what this list is a predefined function, guys. Again, list is a predefined function. What it does, it is going to take all the range of these elements and convert them into a list. So the type of list is, this will be a list. Okay, now if you want, you can print this L. Now it's going to print the actual elements now. Okay, now see that it prints 1 to 9. Now it is printed all the elements, not the range. Okay, so here you just print a type of R. This will be a range. You just print a type of L. Type of L. This will be what? List. Okay. Type of R. Right. Type of R. Type of L. You can see now. So type of R, it's a range type. Type of L, it is a list type. So we just converted the range of elements into list. So this is just to extract the elements, actual elements in between these two values, the range of given values. Okay. Okay. However, there is important interesting point here. If you see, I have given a range of 1 comma 10, right? My start value is 1. My end value is 10. Of course, step value is 1. Now, the difference of these elements is 1, step value is 1, that is clear, so no issues with that. And it is started from 1, it is started from 1, so no issues with that. But if you consider, if you look at this, 10 is not there, right? We don't have 10, we don't have 10. So that is what the important point here. When you are working with the range function, it is not going to consider the end position. It will be like it's going to give you the numbers between end position minus 1. Okay, so range function returns the values starting from the start position and till the end position minus 1. Okay, this is the important part. It is going to exclude the upper boundary. It is going to exclude the upper boundary. So if you wanted to get a 10 also, then you keep 11 here. That's it. So you wanted to, okay, I need 1 to 10 elements, 10 also I want, then you keep 11 here. Okay, that is the point here. You have to understand. So now you can see 10 is coming. So upper boundary is not going to consider. Range function is going to return the end position minus 1 elements. Okay, and step value 1, right? Let me take now step value of 2. How it is going to print the values now? How it is going to print the values now? So 1 plus 2 3 plus 2 5 plus 2 7, like that it is going to give you. See that? So 1 3 5 7, because my range step value is 2. Okay, now in the similar way I can use minus values also, right? So if I give minus, so it's going to be decrement, right? So 1 minus 1 0, 0 minus it will be like in negative direction. So this is not the case. So in this case, even you have to swap this. So starting from 11 and come to 0. So in this case, start position is 0, start position is 10. I'm going to decrease that. It's going to be like in reverse order. It's going to be a reverse order. It starts from 10, minus 1 9, minus 1 8, like that it will come up to 0, meaning that 0 is not going to consider, so it comes up to what? 1. So it's going to print 10 to 1 numbers. It's going to print 10 to 1 numbers. So see the last output 10 9 8 7 6 and up to 1. That will be the case. Okay, understand guys? Any confusions around this? So this is a step value and this is a start position and end position. So you can go in forward direction or backward, reverse. Basically you can do whatever direction you want. You ensure that what is where you are starting and where you are going. So that is only the matter here. And apart from that, so however the parameters, if you look at the parameters, start position, end position and step value, right? Out of these 3, so start position is optional, meaning that I don't have to specify my start position. I don't have to specify my start position. Say for example, I'm not giving that. Okay, I'm not giving that, and my step value is also optional. Step value is also optional. I don't have to give this step values also. Both are optional. Only mandatory is what? The end position. If you give only one element, by default that will be considered as end position. So by default this is equivalent to what? This is equivalent to this one. No, not this one. It started from 1, right? So this is going to start from 0. Let me add that point. The default value for start position is 0. Default value for the step value is 1. Okay, understand? So meaning that this is equivalent to what? This is equivalent to range of start position is 0, goes up to 11, and default step value is 1. Both are same. So this is equivalent to this one. Okay, guys, understanding? Is this understandable? So please raise your questions if you have any confusions. Okay, yeah, let me run this and you can see the same output. Like in this case, it starts from 0 and it goes up to 10. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to get 0 to 10. See the output here? Started from 0 and it goes up to 10. So 11 element is not going to include because I have given range of 11. So that is how it works. Range function, we use this function in our programming like anything. So make this clear, make it clear. So we have these are the things we have. We have a range function which takes 3 values, which expects 3 values, right? Out of 3, only end position is mandatory, compulsory you have to give, and start position and step value you don't have to give. So they are optional. If you want to specify, you specify it. If you don't specify also, it doesn't complain anything. Okay, it doesn't complain anything. It simply consider the start position as 0 and the step value as 1, default values, right? So if you print directly range, so it's not going to show you the values. It simply says that range of the numbers. But if you wanted to extract the numbers, you have to cast that into a list or a tuple or set, whatever you want. And you can use any data structure. It need not to be a list. You can use a tuple also. Okay, you can use a set also. Can the range include negative values, for example -1 to -10? Good question. Yeah, you can do that, but how you are navigating is matter. So only thing you have to verify, okay, -1 to -10 you are going, right? So then what is the step value here? If you are going, you started with -1, okay, it goes -2, -3, -4, like that. So in that case, the step value is negative or positive. If you give positive 1, so -1 plus 1, it becomes 0. How it is going to work? So let's give -1. Okay, so now you just play with that. We don't, but in our real-time programming, okay, in real-time programming, this is absolutely not a valid case. We never do that. We never do that. So for your practice and maybe if anybody is interested, just you can give a try of the values, negative values. But we don't come across these kind of scenarios in real time. Okay, but anyhow, it's accepted or not. So -1 you have to give. If you give positive value, so positive value -1 and 1 becomes what? +1, right? So how it is going to give? So it's not going to give any values. Okay, because it stops there itself, right? Okay. No, don't think in that way. Don't feel that it's a silly question or whatever question you have, you can ask, no problem. So no issues at all. That is how you have to be. Actually, you have to clarify anything, whatever doubt you have. So don't hesitate to ask anything, no problem at all. Okay, ask anything, no problem. Okay guys, so hoping you understand about the range function clearly, everybody. Okay, we are going to work multiple programs using this. As soon as we are done with the flow controls, we are done with the data structures. Okay, now let's move on to the other data types. Okay, the other data types: byte array, non-type. What I do is I'll move this to a new file again, and this I'll rename this file as range example, because I completely discussed about the range. Now let me create a new Python file. So with this, okay, byte array stuff. I'm going to talk about these. Three are left out. Okay, byte array, none type. Okay, so this byte array is more similar to your list basically. Okay, so these are more about like looks like your list only. Okay, so list, if you say list of elements, okay, list of elements, I can take n number of elements. Okay, I can take n number of elements. Say for example, we'll just understand about the range function now. Okay, now can I do this range of, okay, range of 300, range of 300. So this is what R. Now what I'm planning is list of R, and let me print the list. So what the data it prints from 0 to 299, correct? It will print 0 to 299. 0 starting from 0, and it will print up to what? 299. The last number would be what? 299, right? It is going to print the numbers from 0 to 299. Clear. Now, so the same way, can I use byte data type here? So byte of, we have a function, byte function, bytes function, okay, where you can pass your range function. Okay, so it is exactly same as your list, guys. List. So you, however, a list is going to perform, byte is going to perform in the same way, but what is the difference? That's what we are going to understand. Okay, bytes and byte array, these are also going to handle group of elements, set of elements, like your list tuple set. Okay, bytes and byte are also going to handle the data, a group of data elements. Okay, array of elements. So here, if you see, I just created this byte of range, and let me print b. See the difference now between these two. Got an error. So what is that error? Value error. Bytes must be in range of 0 comma to 56. So that is the important point you have to remember. Okay, bytes range is, okay, bytes range is, bytes range is, bytes must be in range of 0 to 256. If you go beyond that, so it will be an issue. It will be an issue. So you cannot do that. So here range R is what, 300. It is going beyond that or not? That is the problem. So first, suppose my range is, if I take 0 comma 256. Okay. So now see that. Now we can see there is no error, right? So there is no error that we see. But if you look at the element format, just try to understand the element data here. Okay, I'm just copy paste. Anyhow, the first is the list, so those are plain numbers. But when you look at the byte array, just take these elements, and move from here. I'm just moving to a notepad plus a notepad. I'll just copy paste all this here. Okay, now see that. So it started from 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 8. Then it's showing like \t \n \x \n, sorry. Okay, then c, b, c, then e, f, right? This is a written, right? \r, then 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 numbers, 19, then after you have A, B, C, D, E, F, right? So then after you have numbers, these are what special characters, right? And these are some digits that whatever I have in my keyboard, right? So from here to here, so whatever I have, the special characters, right? These are the special characters along with the digits that I have on my keyboard. And then I can see the capital letters starting from A to Z, capital letters. And then after I have some other special characters, then again I have small letters starting from A to Z, starting from A to Z. Again, these curly braces and all. Okay, so then some other numbers. You can see different format, right? So these are the characters, man. And these are the characters, guys. So these are the characters that supports worldwide. These are the characters that supports worldwide. The possible characters, basically all the possible characters are going to represent in 2 bytes. In bytes, it takes 2 bytes. 2 bytes. 2 bytes size is what? 256. So worldwide, any character can be represented using this particular representation. I'm going to use in this particular representation. Do you understand, guys? So this is given a particular specific range, okay, 0 to 256. This is absolutely to represent the keyboard characters, So it has a special purpose. Okay, it discuss about, talks about, okay, the characters on the keyboard that supports all the characters on all the keyboards. So anything, any character can be represented within this range. So guys, is that clear? Or any question around this?
Hello.
Are you good? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Here the last element will be 256 or 255. The same 255.
255, not 256, 255. But it's starting from 0, right? 0 is going to be considered. So total elements are 256. Total characters are 256.
Okay. Does it take 1 to 257? If we gives the range 1 and the other is 257, does it take?
Yes, it takes. Total numbers should be 256.
Oh.
That is the criteria. Okay. Oh, 1 second. What happened? I'm sorry, no, it doesn't take. I never tried this actually because we don't go beyond that practical things. Okay, so no, it's not going to consider because it's later it's going to access based on the index positions, meaning that so later on how do we access based on this we are going to access. Suppose you are trying to access 257, it's not going to be okay, it's going to be error, right? Because so assuming that the developers are going to assuming that the range of this bytes is 256, so they use it to access like this. But somehow you define it 1 to 257, right? And that's going out of the semantics of the language. So yeah, it is not accepting. I never tried this, but yeah, anyhow, we just give it a try. Just giving a try, so it's not going to be the case. Okay, so it must be 0 to 256. That's all. Because of change in the index position. Okay, so it differs in the accessing of the elements if you change this. Okay, it must be 0 to 256. That's it. Must be in this range. Any other doubts? Any other questions? Okay, if you are good, I'm planning to wind up for today. Okay, we'll see this binary and non-type tomorrow. It takes another 5 minutes, guys. But I have my kid has another session now, which starts at 9 o'clock. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow. What is the question, Shiv Sinkar? I didn't understand. Any necessary to write notes? No, I'm keep writing it and I'm sending this, right? You don't have to do it any additional things. Okay, I'll be sending all this documentation. Yes, Rashikar, more than 250, it won't accept. Anyhow, I'll give more details tomorrow. Okay, along with byte array, and byte is mutable and byte array is going to be immutable. Okay, and other than both are same. Anyhow, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, right, guys. Bye bye. Yes, I'm using PyCharm only, Venkatesh. Yes, index must be starts from 0. Okay. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye. Keep practicing. Go through the recorded session again.